welcome to Phil's Corner Live. Welcome to our regular Thursday stream called The Hot Wall, where we rank football shirts for your viewing pleasure. And as we start, I don't know why it's not showing up on screen, but we have a comment from Brock, one of the regulars here. He says, "Morning, Phil." So morning indeed, not just good afternoon. Oh dear, sorry. But good morning to those stateside. Brock says, a great way to start the day. Thanks for choosing to start your day with our stream here, Brock. Thanks, and good to see you. What says, me and my wife got tickets to the Women's World Cup in New Zealand. I must admit, I didn't know it was in New Zealand. I assume that's what WWC is. I'm going to check now as I say that. Yeah, nice. So that's very cool. Next summer, I do like that poster there. Anyway, that's beside the point. Very good, Brock. Guys, I want to say as well, I've noticed listening back to a couple of streams that because my mic is very close, there's been quite a few examples of plosives, boomy sounds. So I need to look at sorting that out. But it just says, so apologies for that. That's obviously something I don't want to be happening. But I would like to say as well, if there's anything on stream which you notice, which maybe if my mic's too quiet, the music's too loud, any technical difficulties, do stick them in chat. And again, yeah, very keen to improve that experience for you guys. Matt Bradbury, you can see Matt. He says, finally caught one of these live. The back catalogue goes with the soundtrack to my FM save. Matt, that's very cool to hear. Thank you for that. Thank you for watching and supporting just by watching the stream. Who are you playing on Football Manager? What are you doing? What's your save? I'd love to hear. But thanks for tuning in. Guys, as people do filter in as well, if you're new, maybe you're coming through Twitter, welcome to the stream. We're going to be here for the next 2-3 hours or so, ranking football shirts in a very big tier list, which we've been building basically since January. I've tried to rank every football shirt that's been released this year, and we're coming towards the end of the year, obviously. There's still new shirts every week, which is cool. Today we're going to be doing something a bit different as well, and long-time listeners would have been looking forward to this. We're basically going to be reviewing the shirts that were already on the list, on the tier list, and moving some up and down, because there's been quite a few where we ranked them in January, February, and in hindsight I even like them more or less. So there's going to be a bit of that, a bit of an extra review for us to go through. And in fact, as we start as well, or before we get to the list, I will just quickly flash up the Patreon screen. I need to update this because most of those timings or the lengths of support have changed. So apologies for those current patrons. But this is just to say I've got a Patreon. There's loads of benefits. One of the best things about the Patreon, guys, is that if there's a shirt you want to buy, say a shirt from some of the New Japan shirts. Let's say you wanted one of the New Japan or home away shirts in authentic long sleeve. Now that can only be bought in Japan. But we've got a nice little network now, whether it's contacts that I've got or people who indeed in the Slack group, in my Patreon group, who live abroad and live in different places, basically to act as a bit of a proxy network. So that is one of the benefits, as well as other stuff. And obviously, any support will be hugely appreciated, as well as just subscribing. If you're new here, you've just tuned in, make sure you subscribe, make sure you leave a like if you enjoy the video and the stream today. But as we get started, I'll switch us over to the wall itself, and as we do, I'll just respond to a couple of comments. Matt saying Dulwich Hamlet in League 2 lost the player final on pens. Brutal to lose on penalties, but very nice choice for Dulwich Hamlet. Very nice choice indeed. And Brock also saying, can we suggest shirts for you to rank that on football shirt culture? Yes, Brock. So I think what we'll do today, I might save that for next week or 2 weeks time if that's okay. But yeah, I'm conscious there's quite a few that haven't been on there. There's also non-league shirts. So I think my plan is after today's episode, we're going to try and catch up with all the releases on football shirt culture. We'll do a bit of a review, and then hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll invite submissions There's been quite a few big releases that haven't been on here. Things like Basel are on my mind, but there's others as well as non-league, and I'm quite happy to rank them as well. Obviously, yeah. But yeah, so in short, yes. Ian, another one of the regulars here, says that's a coincidence, Matt. I got Dulwich Hamlet shirt this week. Very good. Very good stuff. So guys, as I say, we've got this list. Before we review, and immediately I wanted to, there's several shirts that I'm like, oh, I want to move them up or move them down because we have seen so many. I mean, literally, if I get us at 100% here, it'll look a bit better. You can see how many shirts are, and we've got a new subscriber who is Kong. I think it's Kong. It's really hard to see on my... I'm using my phone as a second screen. I really need to do the proper streaming thing and have a second screen. But anyway, Kong, welcome to Phil's Corner, mate. I hope you're well. Good to see Anthony and Joe flying in as well. Great stuff, guys. Welcome, everybody. Already a good crowd here. Good to see you. As we go through, I should add as well, for anyone who might be new, bit of inception there. Anyone who might be new, do leave a comment in the chat if you disagree or agree with my rankings. There's a heck of a lot of shirts on here. The concept, I should explain for anyone new as well, is very simple, but my favourite shirts on the right, my least favourite on the left. The kind of hottest shirts are in the volcano tier, as we call it, and my least favourite shirts in the ice cube tier. But I mean, there's a lot in this middle, the candle tier, the flames tier. Guys, I mean, seriously, there's shirts which are kind of buried under the pile. I try to make sure at least every shirt can be seen, but as you can see, again, let me get 100%. It looks a bit crisper. There we go. I mean, look at that. It's kind of illegible, but it is good fun nonetheless to go back. And again, today we're going to actually spend some time going through the list. And for example, to give you a warm-up for what we're going to be doing, when I look at this list here, I think I was a bit over, the City shirt, I do like it, but I don't think it deserves to be in the Volcano tier. Again, I do like it, and I probably wouldn't bump it down any more than one tier. But yeah, that is an example where I think if I was to now look back in hindsight, there's a few shirts here which I would say deserve to be in the Volcano tier over that City shirt. So that's just one example of a kind of hindsight. Hindsight is 2020. Equally, there's shirts which I think, yeah, do deserve to be bumped up, and we'll go through that. And I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, because sometimes you just need to see a shirt on pitch or stuff like that. Matt says, great club colours for the Hamlet. Love the ground too. Peter Croucher was very nice, Matt. Very nice. Yeah, Dulwich Hamlet. Very, very nice club colours. Very, very nice club. Right, guys, let's just review. I need to remember where we were last week. So, from memory, if I just zoom out and we'll do the usual, I should have made a note, but I always forget to do that. Looks like we ended on, was it the Melbourne City or Melbourne Victory? Not Melbourne City, that's another team from Melbourne. Don't want to get in trouble with any A-League fans. Yeah, and we had the Chelsea shirt. Yeah, so we're looking at, I think it was around the Melbourne shirt, so not too far back, I think. Obviously, there's fewer new shirts being released, just because we're getting towards the end of the year. But there's still stuff coming out. So I don't think we've done these ones, have we? Again, honest, we did the Victory. I'm sure we did the Mumbai City one, didn't we? I'm pretty sure we did. Again, apologies. I should have. Oh, here we go. It's because these layers aren't in order, which is all good. Right. Yeah, so there's Mumbai away. There's 1,100 set. That's layer 1,117, which doesn't mean there's that many shirts, but broadly speaking, there should be about that many shirts, which is ridiculous. And yeah, there's the Mumbai one. So we have done the Mumbai City one. Again, apologies for this lack of professionalism. We did Mumbai. Thank you, Ian. Thank you. Yeah, this for some reason I have not made it my process to actually properly document which ones I've been doing. Oh, well, here we go. And that'll be the Melbourne away, won't it? Again, where the heck is it on this list? I can't even see it. I think there might be an empty layer. I'm so sorry, guys. Right, I think I'm literally scanning through this hilariously large tier list to make sure. I'm pretty sure we've not done the Melbourne victory away. We've done the home. I can't see. I mean, I literally should just have made a note. But I'm looking at this. This is the largest layer we've got by number. So I think, again, if I'm wrong, I apologise. We might end up ranking something twice, but that hasn't happened yet. Let's pick it up from Melbourne victories away, because I don't think we've done from there on. But if we have, I'll review it. I'm looking because we should be able to spot it quite easily, so it's luminous green. Anyway, as you can see, it's a fairly relaxed setup here we've got at Phil's Corner. Let's do the Melbourne victory away. Now, we talked a lot about the home, and I really like the embossed pattern. In this example, the pattern isn't embossed, and I think that really is a downgrade. It's quite typical that you'll get a bit more treatment with the home, like a bit of a higher level spec and that kind of thing. And the home, which is here, you can see, which you actually ranked just outside the Flames tier, but I did quite like it. So I think the away, honestly, I would rank lower, but I think I would still put it in the candle tier. I don't think it's in the ice cube tier by any means. I actually it's quite bold to have that combo, obviously with the luminous green and the blue or the navy. But I think overall I would still put this in the candle tier. Again, the pattern not being embossed hurts this one. If it was embossed, I think you're looking at something a bit closer to the home, personally. But I would say this one still deserves to be in the candle tier. And guys, many shirts in the candle tier are actually, quite decent. I would say the kind of average line, if you like, is somewhere around the middle of the candle tier. Just because it's not in the top 2 tiers doesn't mean it's not a good shirt, but it's more just maybe an idea that hasn't quite reached its full potential or stuff like that. So that's kind of where I'm landing for this one. We've seen a few other luminous shirts. You can see Laganes. This tier list challenges my memory in many ways. Joe says it would be funny if you ranked a shirt twice and the rank is wildly different. It would be. You know what, Joe? Honestly, I think if I did that, it would sometimes happen, because I try as much as possible to be objective, to try and rank shirts objectively. But it's fair to say there is, of course, subjectivity, and 100%, if I'm having a good day or a bad day, it would impact this kind of thing. As much as I try not to. But no, honestly, I'm still like double checking. I don't think we've done this one. I'm looking at this, but if we have, I'll have to go back and look. Ian says, I like the V shape of the victory shirt. Sadly, the second shirt is in Oxford colours. What's wrong with Oxford colours? As Joe is an Oxford fan. And to be fair, Joe, of course, we ranked your home shirt, the Oxford shirt, very highly. Let's continue anyway. Let's go to Reading's third shirt. Now, of course, guys, we have seen, well, it would be an understatement to say that we have seen many, many blackout shirts over the last few years. I'm just checking. So I've just realised I can actually do the whole group, can't I? So I'm just making sure. Yeah, there's no Melbourne shirt, I don't think. If there is, I've made a big mistake. But anyway. We've seen many blackout shirts. What's funny about this is it isn't, of course, properly blackout because of the sponsor. And in this example, it is a bit of a funny one for me, where you've got a shirt which is, otherwise there's been full commitment in terms of the crest and the Macron logo there. But having the sponsor, because it's literally the most contrasting it could be, white on black, it really draws attention to it. So it's a shame, because at the end of the day, it ends up looking, it's great for the sponsor, but it just dominates the shirt, and there's no reason for that to be the case. If you're going to already go down that route, you should commit to it. Now, I quite like the overall silhouette, the overall construction here. Macron, the collar's always a bit funny, often a bit funny, and it's not my favourite Macron collar, but I much prefer it to some of the ones they do. As much as I like Macron, I just typically their collars I find can be a bit, over engineered. I don't know what the word is I'm trying to say, but yeah, it's a blackout shirt. Obviously, again, we could talk a lot more about what makes a good blackout shirt. I think now we're at the stage where I want to see something like, for example, and funny enough, I don't think it's on this list actually, but the Christiania away shirt. And if you want to see what that looks like, I posted some pictures just the other day on Twitter. Christiania SC, a club in Denmark who have had a great relationship with Hummel, and they're a small team in terms of kind of, you know, following or what have you, but they have had some amazing shirts. Their current away shirt is stunning, and it's a kind of take on a blackout shirt, but it's got really good intricate details, a really interesting crest. It's just so much more interesting than a plain black shirt. And another example, I mean, it's not quite blackout, but something like the Saint Etienne third shirt, again, which is kind of pseudo blackout. Really good pattern. Love the kind of the reasoning behind the design. So I think you know, this one is just a bit cookie cutter. It's the kind of epitome of what feels like a shirt just trying to cash in, I should say, on the blackout trend. So it's fine. I'd actually probably still, well, I think I'll stick it in the Ice Cube tier, but at the top end of the Ice Cube tier. But the sponsor really is the biggest problem here. I think were the sponsor black, it could definitely, I could see it sitting more in the kind of in the candle tier range. But I think as is, I'm just going to find a spot. Let's go there for the Reading third shirt. Ian says, you used to like the Reading Tesco Valley shirts were sponsored by Waitrose. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, the Waitrose sponsor was quite memorable indeed. Now we've got the Las Vegas Lights pink jersey. I'm going to make sure they're actually wearing this on the pitch. This is something which, again, with this tier list, we're not including shirts that are pre-match shirts or shirts that aren't worn on the pitch, like leisure wear shirts, and also no goalkeeper shirts, which just to kind of try and keep it a bit tighter. But obviously, yeah, sometimes it's hard to know if it's actually going to be worn. I think it was worn. Based on this, it was worn on the pitch. Now, it's funny because in this example, I really like it. I think, you know, similar to hey, football show connoisseur, good to see you, mate. Good to see you. So we talked about blackout shirts. In this example, obviously it's monochrome, so it's a similar kind of theme or aesthetic direction to go down. And I must admit, I think this is very attractive. You've got this topography pattern. I really like. I think with this sort of pattern, it's important that it looks crisp. If it was a bit blurry or a bit kind of, you know, half-baked, half-arsed, if you like, it wouldn't look as well. But I like the sharpness of that. And honestly, the various shades of pink here, I think it all works well. We've got good cooperation from the sleeve patches and sponsors. I think this is a really nice shirt. The sponsor isn't great as a sponsor, and I believe am I right in saying this originally when the home and away shirts launched, they had Maber on the front, which looked amazing. So you've got all the kind of crypto stuff here, but this is 100% a hot shirt for me. I think it's a really, really good looking monochrome shirt. Yeah, it looks great. It looks really good. I would say kind of mid Flames tier, honestly, feels about right for me. For something like a kind of special shirt, you know, we talked a lot about pink shirts last episode, didn't we? Last stream, I should say, with the various Brazil shirts, or Brazilian club shirts, I should say. This is, I would say, superior to basically anything we saw last week. In terms of kind of just, again, attention to detail, and like the ways you could go about doing a monochrome kit, a one colour kit. This is kind of pretty much the best approach, I would say. So I love it. Like, in fact, as I look here, I don't think this is out of place around here. Honestly, I think this is excellent. So really hot shirt for me. Football shirt connoisseur, so he says, I wish the pattern was also on the back. I hate black backs. That is a very fair point. We shouldn't ignore that. And it's a classic comment of mine, certainly. I don't think this one detracts as much as some other shirts. I think because it's monochrome, obviously it would be better with the pattern, but as opposed to some shirts where a blank back particularly hurts it. If you've got a contrasting pattern, say, I think you can get away with more with a monochrome kit. I think that's not to say it isn't better. It wouldn't be better, sorry, without a pattern on the back. Right, speaking of blackout, it seems to be a theme of this early portion of today. We've got what looks to be a series of blackout shirts. Now, again, I'm going to assume these are going to be worn on pitch. I can't remember when it was, but several months ago we talked about the manufacturer Volt, a Brazilian manufacturer who've been doing a lot of relatively smaller clubs, mostly smaller clubs in Brazil. I say smaller, outside of the big names that you'd be familiar with in Europe. But they have been prolific. I think with Volt, I've typically not been that impressed with the shirts in terms of quality based on pictures. It's very hard to tell by pictures, so I'm being a bit critical. But I will say, I like the look of the plastic applications here. And even though the material looks a little bit on the lower end, honestly, yeah, these shirts look pretty reasonable. The cut of the shirts always looks, and again, this is going to sound critical, but with the Volt shirts, things like the collars and stuff look a bit funny. But I must say, I quite like that detail on the middle. And overall, I think these shirts actually look pretty good. Now, what we do seem to have is the same design for several teams. That's fine. These are kind of very brand-centric collections. We do see this quite a bit. I need to set up a spam filter on my chat there. I don't know. Can I do that here? I don't know if I can, to be honest. Now I've started the chat. Hopefully 69 girls XYZ gets out of here soon, but we'll see. If not, I hope they like shirts. This example, very brand centric, where it feels like, well, it obviously is top down, the brand saying, right, we're going to release a selection of shirts. It speaks more to the brand than the individual clubs. I think for the sake of ranking this, and because it's hard to tell even just with the crest, I'll rank them all in one. Because again, yeah, I don't. They literally seems to be the same with a different badge. So I think we can do that. This one I think lands better than something like the Reading shirt for various reasons, and this is despite my kind of feelings on Volt being a little bit muted. Like in general, I've not been that impressed with their shirts. I'll say that. But I think this might be, despite being, you could argue it's just a blackout shirt, but I think the things at the detail there and the cuff pattern doesn't detract at all. I think it adds to the shirt. Overall, I actually think this is kind of mid to high candle tier, which isn't as high as a lot of shirts, but actually I don't know if we've ranked a Volt shirt higher, but I might be misremembering. Ian says, I have a Swindon blackout shirt, and in all honesty, I'm not totally sold on the concept. I think the Germany was much better with the red and the yellow cuff detailing. Yeah, I think Germany one was an example of a good one, and I do think there are good examples out there. Often it is, an element that isn't black that can lift it. But even all black shirts, I think there've been good ones and bad ones, and a harder to kind of quantify element, but something which should be considered also is when there is a reason behind the design. So for example, one of the very first blackout shirts, which kind of started the trend, the first AIK blackout shirt, was heavily based on an old shirt from the club's history. So pardon me. So that actually had quite a good grounding, where you kind of actually there was more reason for it to be a blackout shirt, basically. But anyway, that is the selection of Volt blackout shirts, we'll call it. Overall, as I say, not too bad at all. Now let's move on for blackout shirts. Thankfully, as much as I can appreciate them, happy to move on. And this is a very interesting shirt from Racing Club or Racing Club. I'm not sure how they pronounce it. An anniversary shirt, and I must say, nice to see a different crest. Typically, the Racing Club crest is a kind of light blue and white striped affair. I really like this. I would like it more if it had a bit more of a kind of raised element, but I like the old school vibes of it, and I do quite like it, even though it is just a patch. I don't, as much as I like the idea, I think this pattern is a little bit kind of basic, you know, when we look at the kind of top end. So when I think about, well, we're going to come on to Belgrano later because I actually think this is my favourite shirt of the year and it deserves to be all the way on this side of the volcano tier. This, I think, got the level of detail in the pattern spot on. Also, guys, I've just remembered, I've just received this shirt in the post and I need to take pictures of it today. So I'm going to be sharing that maybe tomorrow. Sorry, I got excited. That dropped through my door from Fit Fanatics today. So I'm very excited to see that one in person. But anyway, that's a side point. Yeah, this Belgrano shirt I absolutely love. This, I think, you know, you look at this pattern, it feels a lot more basic. Also, not a huge fan of the collar personally, but overall, I think there's enough for me to rank this one in the hot tier. Only just. It does have a blank back, but again, it doesn't hurt it too much. I think what tips this one over the edge, nice to see some bespoke details, and I think, you know, the colour combo honestly works. I just think I'd like to see a more intricate pattern on the back as well, and a raised crest, better collar. Then I think we're looking at higher flames tier, maybe even knocking on the door of the volcano tier, but probably not there. But overall, I would sneak this into the hot tier. I think this is really nice. Again, I'm being very picky, but that's kind of the point of this list, really. Yeah, I like it, and again, it just has enough bespoke elements to get me excited, and I think the execution is pretty good, even though there's elements I would change. So pretty good from Kappa in Argentina. Yeah, so it's not even hard to see the list. So that's, or the lines, I should say. That's there. I think we can see this one about here. That feels good. Joe said, I think Par's blackout shirt had a special meaning behind it as well, didn't it? Possibly an anti-racism message. I think it did, Joe. Yeah, and certainly that's been good to see. There's been a few examples of shirts which have blackout shirts which have used that story or promoted, I should say, anti-racism messages, which has been good. Apologies there. Yeah. I think what I would say is sometimes I've definitely seen a few examples which feel like they've been tacked on, and you can tell when a shirt has had that story as a proper grounding, because there'll be things like details, or, you know, it will come across much more authentically, as opposed to some releases where it feels like they've just tacked it on without really having that reasoning. It's hard to gauge sometimes, and obviously sometimes clubs just blag it, but and Football Shirt Colour says, it reminds me of the blue Bromley away shirt from last season. Yeah, similar colourway actually, or similar approach for sure. Right, we go to I believe these guys are Mexican. If I'm wrong, apologies. But Club Leones Negros de Universidad de Guadalajara. A lovely long name. These guys, they have the kind of Yunnan Pumas vibe, where they typically have a giant animal on the front of their shirts, in this case a lion. I like what they've done with this pink shirt. Now again, we talked a bit about pink shirts today. Honestly, I really think the execution is quite good. The way the line there, or the mane of the line I should say, is in black. It contrasts nicely with the pink. I like that soft shade of pink. I think overall this is just really nice. And you can see nice little crest, little bit of texture, which is good to see, something which the wrestling club or the racing club shirt was missing. Same with the manufacturer logo. And I think what really helps sell this one is the fact it's just two colours. It would be easy to complicate it, to make it extra busy. I think just having the pink and the black, it's a very simple combo. For me, it works. Yeah, and I think for a third shirt, I assume, like with a lot of pink shirts, yeah, so it's talking about cancer, or the kind of meaning behind it is for cancer awareness, which is, as I say, you see it quite a lot in October, but it looks good. I think the end result is a really nice shirt. We've got some more spam messages. Apologies, guys, I do need to sort out my spam filter there. But overall, I'm high on this one. I don't know if I think I would stick this one in the Flames tier. To be honest, when I look at this, I think they've actually executed it quite well. one thing I will say, the sleeve sponsor there is not a nice placement, and it's interesting to see the crest on the sleeve. I think personally I'd probably rather the crest be on the chest if it meant the sleeve sponsor could go into its more natural position, but overall pretty good. And we've not seen many shirts from, I can't think of any other shirts from Spirelli. I don't know, maybe they're even an own brand, I don't know. But yeah, I think I'd be happy to see it sort of the flames too. I think it looks good. I'd say this was quite a good execution on the idea, and yeah, we'll stick it in the middle there. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. Marcus, you can see Marcos, he says, in Argentina there's been a fair share of criticism of the Kappa, mainly because of their quality and lack of details, even more so when you compare them with Brazil or Europe. Yeah, I must say, it's hard to argue when you see something like the Racing Club shirt. It does lack that extra level which you see from other brands, like we talked about with Araya, although obviously that's very much a local thing, but that's another story for another time. But yeah, certainly compared to Brazil, yeah, we mentioned Vasco, and there's obviously others. No, I can certainly, so from an outside perspective, I can see what you're talking about there. You'd expect more from these big teams that Kappa work with in Argentina. Matt saying that's a good badge. Trees are usually good for badge. They are. I completely agree, Matt. It's a good formula. The front sponsorships placement lifts that one. Yeah, I think leaving the front clear there really helps. Now we've got a couple. It looks like we've got the Ivory Coast shirts, which for some reason have snuck on or been left up to this point, because we did rank most of the Puma shirts already. So looking at the home shirt, honestly, I think this is quite a nice shirt. Obviously, Puma, they're really kind of lacking those later gears. Even the better shirts from the Puma catalogue ultimately don't look as exciting as they should do. You know, when you look at this, the ceiling is quite low, basically. You know, this. So we look at this. This is a really low effort detail when you compare to a lot of brands who have, whether it's embroidered or plastic applications, which are quality. A little bit of raised detailing is just so much more quality than a little, you know, patch like this. This is still better than nothing, but it's kind of, to me, that looks low end. That's the kind of thing which you should expect from a lower league club, but not from an international team, from a brand like Puma. You look at that overall, I'll start again. You look at it in context with some casual wear there, it looks good. And obviously the old school Puma logo, I think the overall like vibe from the shirt is really strong. The kind of fake shadow stripes, but it's still just, you can't get too excited about it. I mean, what I will say is I think, again, this is one of the better Puma shirts for sure this year, simply because the direction they've gone down is good, and obviously the Ivory Coast colours are good. So I think I would put this in the Flames tier, but only just, and that is, you know, again, it's the kind of best of a bad bunch, basically. I think that's kind of my thinking. Yeah, Ian saying Ivory Coast is just like a standard template budget option. Yeah, ultimately it does. It doesn't have those bespoke elements which you'd want to see. I don't think that means it. I do think it's still a hot shirt, and again, for the reasons mentioned, I think you know, certainly, especially in isolation, I think it does have some merits. And again, I'd be happy to say this. This is definitely one I'd consider picking up in the sales, that kind of thing. But it's not going to go much higher than that. I mean, if we stick it around there, that feels about fair. Brock, a little off topic. Do you think New Zealand will come out with better shirts ahead of next summer's Women's World Cup? I want to get one, but they always say plain and so boring. I'd hope they will, Brock. Certainly, I really like the one from, was it 2018 or 2019? With the ferns on the sleeves, and I got the away of that one, and that's one I wear quite a bit. Yeah, you'd hope so. Because as much as I appreciate a plain shirt, they are very, very plain. I think I mean, again, I actually quite liked it, but there we go. It's in the ice cube tier. It was just a plain shirt, and even worse with the white shirt or somewhere else around this area. The Ivory Coast away, I don't want to talk too much about this one. Obviously, this template, again, go back and check out previous episodes when we talked about this one. Just things like this detail here, this style of detail I don't think it fits. you've got a lot of words there, and it's all very congested. The whole thing is not very strong, and there's a novelty in that this kind of looks. This frame is one of the more kind of interesting ones, but it just doesn't look great. I think probably high end of the Ice Cube tier. It's a real shame when you compare to what we've seen from the likes of Adidas. I think you just can't look at that and say that these are anything close to that. Indeed, when we do our review later on, as we go through some of the shirts we've already ranked, it's possible some of the Puma stuff might go further down, even still. So yeah, overall disappointing from Puma. Although the home, I think, has something about it. You can't ignore the conversation, and it's not just. I think for me, it's important to try and rank a shirt, kind of, just take a step back. People kind of like to dunk on Puma, but you cannot argue that it's not at least partly justified for much of the collection. There's more than one shirt, I think, which I ranked at the Canon tier, which I think have something about them, but in general, it's been a confusing year for them. Now we go to Germany. Karlsruhe, or Karlsruhe. No idea how you pronounce their team name. I do apologise for any fans out there. We'll call them Karlsruhe, but I'm sure it's pronounced differently. This is very interesting. Now, not a show I've seen before, but I like a lot of what I see. Just before we get into this, Ian said we looked at the New Zealand one earlier this year. I think they just borrowed some shirts from the rugby team. Yeah, it looked like that. This detail in the middle is excellent. As Football Show Concept says, love the crest in the middle. This is what we talk about so much at the Hot Wall. Details like this, which are bespoke, and look at how much better that is in terms of quality. Personally, I really like a good plastic detail, but there's this wonderful kind of old school charm with this embroidered detail. Even the way that it's almost a bit illegible, a bit messy, but it's really nice. I love that in the middle of the shirt. I like this version of the crest. I believe the crest is typically like that. I might just have a quick look now. Yeah, so that is their normal crest, I believe. But it looks really good in the white. Honestly, I think this is a really, really nice looking shirt. Now the sponsor, well, they've at least tried to blend it in. It is relatively plain, but that detail alone is excellent. It adds quality, and it's funny. It's 70th anniversary. It's not a kind of typical anniversary. It's not one you'd often celebrate. Karlsruhe. Thank you, Brock, so often, along with some others in chat, often helping with my pronunciations. I try my best, but yeah, doesn't often work very well. Karlsruhe. That sounds better than Karlsruhe, like I was saying. We'll come back in here. Karlsruhe. Yeah, this is excellent. I mean, so again, I don't usually like matte quad colours. This one, it's almost thrown me off, but it's just about okay. Something about their collars, guys, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I will say I think that's fine. I think this one, I don't want to put it in the Volcano tier, but it's going to be very high on the Flames tier. What I will say, and it's hard to get a proper look at it, I think, and again I might be wrong, but looking at that detail on the front of the shirt, I don't love the style of that. That to me would be much better on a kind of back neck detail maybe, although there is some more on the back. Yeah, I think there's maybe one or two more details that I don't think add a lot to the shirt. But I mean, I'm being picky. I think this is a very, very hot shirt. I really like this approach to anniversary shirts. Again, that front, almost by itself, that front detail, the front shield there, puts this one in contention for the very top. Without that, I might even rank it in the Canon tier. But with that, genuinely, I get excited by stuff like this because it's the kind of attention which shirts so often miss, and especially it makes so much with an anniversary shirt. You kind of have to, really, don't you? But I like it. Yeah, I think it looks great. I mean, honestly, again, when I look at this, I see no reason why this shouldn't be right up here. Yeah, alongside some very good shirts. So Karlsruhe, very nice showing for MatCon. Playing to their strengths. The other thing, actually, again, this is a kind of wish list, but I love some kind of embossed details. But I mean, I can say that about both shirts. Let's just have a quick refresh before we go to the next page, in case we've missed anything. Very good. Let's come on to page 2. Again, we're not far off from catching up with the latest releases. So Bayern Munich's 4th kit. This is a big release. This was a big release, I should say, from the German giants, and very interesting one. Very interesting colour combo, and it certainly has the feel of a kind of leisure wear piece. Broadly speaking, I like it. You know, it's the kind of thing where, like, I mean, I'm being greedy here, but I'd love to see different colours on the 3 stripes. And you've already got quite a colourful palette. I mean, the orange is a good choice, don't get me wrong, but I'd love to see some of those other shades, even just, you know, whether it's the kind of what's that, the kind of mauve shade, soft lilac, whatever you call it, and the kind of turquoise shade, teal shade, again, whatever it's called, or the gold, whichever, to break up the orange stripes. And I think, again, the collar cuffs could be so much nicer. When you're already kind of going all out, why not just take it to the very top? So I like it as a colour scheme. I don't personally love the centralised elements. I think, in general, yeah, I don't know. I think it can add. I mean, I'm just going to check because I might be just being wrong here. I don't know. Have we actually got a shirt in the very top in the Volcano tier which has centralised crest? A centralised crest. I don't think we do. Because it's one thing I was reflecting on the other day. I think generally I'm not a fan of that, but that's just a personal thing. Overall, I think the shirt, as a 4th shirt, which of course was worn on pitch, and that was good to see. I think this is really nice, and I would put this in the Flames tier, probably on the higher end of the Flames tier. I just don't think it, like, despite how it's a very fresh combo. It's a very fresh combo. I think certainly when you look at a lot of 4th kits, they often work because you do have that freedom. There was actually a story here, wasn't there? Was it the stadium? Sorry guys, I need to blow my nose again. Apologies. The 50th anniversary of the Olympia Stadium. Fine. Obviously, they don't play there now, but I mean that's a separate point. Yeah, no, I think I'm feeling like mid to high Flames tier, probably middle. I think it's just, you know, the other thing we mentioned, details. I mean, there is, well, no, it's not really, like, again, a nice something to help take it over the edge. A shirt doesn't need that, but it always helps. Anthony says, happy that Bayern played in it. I think the centre would be easier. Sorry, I think if the centre would be. Oh, sorry. Apologies, Anthony. I'm doing a bad job there. It'd be easier the iPad just use their latest logo without the Adidas. Yeah, I think that could look quite good, and I think generally as well. Yeah, it's a huge point that they actually wore it like that. It helps. I think if you're going to justify spending the money you do on a shirt, you do want them to wear it on pitch. So yeah, I think, to be honest, I'd probably take the Las Vegas one over this. So I think when all said and done, I'm landing somewhere around around here. I think pretty high. Don't get me wrong, but I think there are better ones out there. Honestly, looks good at the Bright Summer's Day. Yes, it's got a very summer vibe for sure, Anthony, for sure. No, it's good. Now, Newcastle's anniversary shirt. Is this going to be worn on pitch? Again, this is a typical question we ask here. I would hope so, but I do not know for sure. Did they wear it? Maybe I missed it, because I think I was away when this was actually launched. Did they wear us on pitch, guys? I don't think they did. I might just do a quick Google and then it might come up. Yeah, honestly, given the price of it, I'm going to assume they might not, because it does seem to be in the kind of cheaper. Let's have a look at the Soccer Bible here, see if there's anything about pitch. As far as I mean, I don't think this is going to be worn on pitch, but I might be wrong. I'm going to skip over it because, again, we're not including shirts that I want to pitch. If it has been worn or it will be worn, we can add it retrospectively. What I will say is, of all the shirts Castore have done for Newcastle, this is, it's got some elements which I like, but it I don't know. I think the pattern looks very basic. That isn't the level you'd want to see. Something like the Belgrano shirt, it wipes the floor with this kind of what to me looks a very kind of like clip art. It sounds harsh, but it looks very clip art to me. I don't think, personally, I don't think they've done very well there. And then it's plain on the back, which again, it doesn't hurt some shirts as much as others, but in this example, I mean, the crest, it's also very weird to me how to be honest, the more I look at it, the more I don't like it. I think the collar's pretty nice. Yeah, I'm gonna anyway, we won't mount this up because I don't think it's gonna be one to pitch, but if it does, we can come back to it. Let's move on to Catania over in Italy. Serie D, in fact, but they've got an interesting shirt. They're relatively new crest there, which, as far as modern rebinds go, that one's not so bad. This one reminds me a bit of it was the Zolos shirt from Charlie. Similar kind of vibe. Honestly, pretty good. I don't think, and these are the club colours with the light blue and the red. Yeah, and there's a Mount Etna theme. I was going to say, because it definitely had the volcano vibe. Honestly, I quite like this one. When I look at that, I think this is sneakily good. Even though the combo, like for example, that Zola shirt, or the Club Tijuana shirt with the gold was really nice. And if anything, I might even want to bump that one up as we come to review the shirts later on. But yeah, honestly, I think this is actually pretty good. I would probably stick this in the Flames tier. I like the all-over pattern. We've got it on the back as well, which is in this example really helps, particularly sponsors playing along as well. Overall really strong. I would definitely say this deserves a spot in the Flames tier. And this is great to see from Maria. They do really good work. They are quickly, I think, or this year, I would say. Maybe I don't know. I've not done a proper kind of look back, but I'd almost want to put them up a Macron, but I might be getting ahead of myself there. Like any of these brands, it can vary a lot country to country for different reasons, but I do think typically Araya are doing some good stuff this year. Yeah, that's a fair point, Ian. And if it's playing, so this is on the Newcastle shirt. If it's playing in the back, that's just it. Maybe want to pitch. That's a very good point, mate. You'd expect so. You'd hope so. I think certainly when it comes to these kind of releases. Otherwise, it feels a little bit disingenuous, but it does happen, of course. Yeah, really good shirt for Catania. I think let's stick it there, and it could even be a bit higher. Come to Mold or Molder. I don't know how you say the name again, as is a classic theme. Adidas. I mean, this is an old design. I can't think of who wore this, but there were several teams, I believe, who had this. This looks like a catalogue pattern. I can't remember the teams. I mean, the overall style, again, it has that kind of Zolos vibe. That definitely is one of the... I like the colourway. But yeah, it has the kind of... I mentioned ceiling before. There is a bit of a ceiling here as well, in the fact that, again, that to me, I think some MLS teams had this. I can't think of the top of my head, but it looks to me like a recycled pattern from a few years ago. Yeah, so despite the pretty pleasing colour scheme, it's hard to get too excited about the overall look of this one, especially with the plain back. Pardon me, and even with the numbers there, the Adidas construction as well, which thankfully they've started to break out of with their World Cup kits, but the placement of the three stripes and this kind of approach to the three stripes it's been several years that we've seen this kind of look. So it just feels a little bit dated, basically, despite quite a nice colour scheme. Again, I quite like. I mean, I don't know if it's just the filter on these pictures, but that shade of kind of soft gold, almost kind of rose gold. But I think it is a soft beige or gold. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's fine. I would definitely say again, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, I'd probably like this one a bit more. As is, we're looking at kind of lower to mid candle tier. I would say it feels about right for this one. Molder, I believe, is the book. I mean, book, honestly, mate, I'm just taking your word for it. It seems to be that it's certainly better than me just winging it. Molder over in, is it Norway, I believe? Yep, Norwegian team. Yeah, this honestly, going through all these shirts, guys, very much challenges my knowledge of world football. Oh dear. Right. Let's stick them there. Let's continue. Udinese over in Italy. Very interesting colour combo. Now, I like the shirt, even though, guys, this is a Macron thing this year. 2019 Real Salt Lake away. Thank you, Brock. I knew it was an old pattern from a few years ago. And again, there was a few teams that used that. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, this element of Macron shirts I don't like. I'll be honest. It just feels like it's a bit too large, a bit kind of like this portion as well. I get that you can house a detail, like some details, but it doesn't look great to me. But overall, I really like the shirt. I like this crest treatment. That looks excellent in the one colour. And the combo is quite nice. I mean, it's a third shirt. Obviously, Udinese, famous for their black and white stripes on the home side. I can't recall a previous shirt being this kind of combo, but maybe there is a reason for the orange. I don't know. Overall, I realise it's an interesting kind of stone colour. I don't know what they call this. It's too much blurb there. Grey melange, but I don't know if there's a reason for it. Is it a camo thing? I don't know. Whatever it is, honestly, I think it looks pretty good. I actually like, despite, again, I don't like this area of the shirt, but overall, I'd actually put this in the flames tier, which, it's very simple, but I think the combo it's quite, to me, it's kind of caught me off guard. I actually quite like the collar. It looks a bit uneven, but of all the Macron collars, I like the overall style. It feels a bit like a Kappa shirt, really, in terms of the kind of very simplistic base. Almost like one of the Kappa combat shirts of old. So I think again with a better back neck. I mean, obviously the sponsor as well. Even though it's quite wide, I quite like the overall shape of this. It kind of fits with the Macron logo. I think honestly this is a sneakily good shirt. I think this is the kind of shirt which it's not a kind of wow colorway. It's quite an unusual combo, but I really actually think it has something about it. Especially because of the things like the crest treatment. I think it looks pretty good. I can't tell if this might be a render. I don't know if it's actually the actual kit. I think it is the actual kit. It almost looks like a felt, but I think it will just be some sort of patch. But anyway, looks really good. That one honestly I think is sneakily good. The more I look at it, I'd almost want to put this in the kind of middle of the flames tier. And I'm sounding surprised. I think I'm surprised in myself. It's just, for example, when I compare it to the Chelsea shirt, which I liked as well, and it broadly similar colorway, I think I like this more. And that's in the flames tier. So, So I think, I've put it there, but honestly, that feels pretty good. I'm going to stick it around there next to the front shirt. I think that's a sneakily good shirt from Udinese. Certainly one which I'm interested to see more of. Come to Bolton Wanderers, a very, very old school anniversary kit, centenary kit, with the trimmings you like to see. Another Macron shirt. We've seen a lot of Macron today. This one again, I'll talk about trimmings. It's got lovely old school crest there, which is taking a while to load. Apologies, I think that's my internet. Possibly. Yeah. Whoa. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you can see. What I love about this, not only the design, but you know when you've got this big shield, which feels like a lot of waste. Like in today's modern clinical world, that's like a lot of wasted space. But it's nice to see on this shirt. This patch, it's kind of basic, but it's good to see it. And I'm not the biggest lace collar guy, but obviously in this example, it helps to tell the story. Because the rest of the shirt is very plain, I actually think it is quite nice to see that. So this one, I think that they've really nailed the brief. They've really nailed the approach. It looks like it might be limited in number, which, you know, is a completely fine direction to go down. Even though it can frustrate fans that want to get the shirt. If it's a particularly popular shirt, obviously people like me or collectors who just buy these sorts of shirts, it's a shame when fans can't get a hold of it, but that's a separate point. Yeah, Eric said the match detailing patch is so basic, it could have done so much more interesting. Exactly, it is basic. Now I'm glad it's there, but yeah, it could be so much better. It's a very kind of, well, yeah, it's the kind of thing which it doesn't take away from the shirt for me, but it doesn't help it reach the heights it could do. Yeah, for sure. And Ian said, I like what Mac could do. They have multiple templates available in multiple colours. The websites for local stores and sometimes worth a browse with just a local team shirt. Absolutely, that's one of the things with Macron and indeed other manufacturers. The ones that do really well, they've got enough options and enough kind of treatment that a shirt, even that off the shelf or kind of from a catalogue, won't feel too generic. And that's important. It's something which often is lacking from the bigger manufacturers, I should say. Where you're always playing catch up, and because they're just so huge and ubiquitous, the likes of Nike and Adidas and Puma, often you are just getting a template which you've seen so much that you can't get too excited by it. Whereas someone like a Macron or an Araya, they actually, even though they're huge in terms of portfolio, they typically, you'll see some really good shirts for lower league teams. Yeah, so this one, I think it could be so much better, but they've nailed the brief. It's not one I personally kind of, that excited by. I don't love the kind of lace collar thing. It feels a bit too cheesy for me, but I actually do think this deserves to be. I'm just looking, maybe around here. Yeah, let's go here. I think it's really good. Even though this could be so much better. There's more I like than don't like about this one for sure. And I think overall, again, it's another good example on that doing some good stuff. Now we come back to Club de Gimnasia y Grima La Plata. Gymnasia, we'll call them for the sake of avoiding my terrible pronunciations. This one appears to be, I believe, the same sleeves as the home shirt, which we really liked, and the away indeed. So the home, I can't remember if this is the home or away, but one of them anyway is right up here, and I really like this again with the stripes. So even though it's not the most unique compared to the home and away, it's still got those. Admittedly, sorry guys. Oh gosh, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm feeling sleepy, which I shouldn't be, but there we go. Anyone who's watched the stream before will know that's nothing new. I'm often yawning on stream, but this shirt honestly doesn't make me yawn. I think this is really nice. So yeah, it's got those lovely Denmark 92 sleeves, which again was a real feature of the home and away shirts. This one might be even better though. I really think it's a lot to take in, but the combo of the sleeves, which have got the kind of striped portion with the stripes in the middle, which I believe is a reference to an old shirt from the club, I think it looks really good. And honestly, I don't know if I'd put it in the Volcano tier, but I'd put it above the home. I mean, maybe I'd bump that down a bit in hindsight, but this one I think is knocking on the door of the Volcano tier. I really like it. The colourway, I mean, these are the club colours, so it is what it is, but I think there's other colours which might be a little bit more exciting, or colour combos I should say, but it's a great shirt. The sponsor, even though it's not great, at least is integrated. I don't know what the back's like. It might be plain, to be honest, or I'd hope it was striped. But either way, I think it's really good. I think it is busy, but because if we'd seen an abundance of this sleeve detail, the Denmark 92 style sleeves, this wouldn't land as well. But because we've only really seen it, I mean, I guess it is kind of in the new Denmark shirts, albeit very subtle. But yeah, I like this one a lot. I mean, to be honest, I don't think it's out of place somewhere around here. Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's Hummel, obviously, which is already a good bar. You can laugh at that pronunciation, indeed. But is the Tunisia version of Peaky Blinders in the advertising? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw the club tweet out a meme or a reference to Peaky Blinders. I might be wrong. I think I saw that, honestly. But anyway, Fortaleza. We're back in Brazil. This one, it kind of falls into the same problems that we mentioned with the Volt shirts. This is the manufacturer. I can't think of the name now. Oh, it's in-house. Sorry, it's in-house. I do remember looking at these guys before. So again, it kind of falls into like the quality looks quite low, and I don't love like this. The crest isn't too bad, but the whole shirt looks quite cheap. The inside neck detail is very nice, and to be honest, that style is quite nice. I think that has a lot. This, even though it's very basic and just sublimated, looks pretty good as well. Numbers are very low there, I assume to accommodate some sponsors or maybe the name. But what looks like some sort of bespoke typeface. This one, to be honest, even though it's lacking a bit of quality, has a lot of nice features. So much so that I'd probably actually stick this one in the bottom of the can tier. Yeah, again, things like the inside neck detail look really good, and you can kind of get away with it. Unlike some areas like outside the shirt, for example here, where the sublimated detail does look a little bit second rate, even though it's nicely designed compared to like a plastic or an embroidery detail. But on the inside neck, you know, you're not going to have that as a raised detail, so it stands out less in a good way. Anyway, bottom of the counter tier for this one from Fortaleza. Yeah, it's. I think the kind of hoot portion I can kind of take or leave, but there's enough here to make me think this is pretty smart. And I can't remember for sure, but I think we rank the home and away in the ice cube tier, but I might be completely wrong. I just have a vague recollection of the in-house brand's logo there and not being too excited by it. But there's the third shirt. I think it deserves a place just about in the counter tier. Yeah, we could have a look. Yeah, anyway, there's a lot of Brazilian club shirts in the bottom end here. But now we go to Werder Bremen in Germany, and the third shirt. I must admit, I don't remember seeing this one before, so this will be interesting as the page loads. It's pretty smart, I think. Obviously, yeah. Sorry, just trying to digest all the colours there. The sponsor, despite being green, because it is kind of clashing in terms of shades, there's a lot of green shades. It kind of distracts you a little bit. Obviously, the crest is also standing out there. The plain back is unfortunate, and there's no reason not to have at least some of the kind of design element or something along those lines, given that it's all quite dark anyway. So the overall shirt looks quite nice. It has a very, completely standard simple collar, but to be honest, I don't mind that. It's so easy to try and add something and it doesn't add to the shirt at all. It just takes away. And you see the shirt in context. It looks good on the models there, or the players. I'm not sure if they could be players. I'm not sure. But yeah, the shirt's quite nice. I don't think it could go above the counter tier. It's just I don't know. No, I'm being quite harsh. It looks good. The pattern feels very Umbro. It's kind of got a diamond aesthetic. And I quite like the colour combo, the very dark green and the black. But I think given that it's a third shirt especially, you'd hope to see a bit more. I mean, the Werder Bremen away, which you can see here, was quite a standout colourway, and I think that one, honestly, I prefer that one. So actually, in context, you see that there in the counter. I think this one has to go a bit further down. Not much. I'd probably still stick it around this area. But yeah, certainly Werder Bremen and Umbro, kind of a fairly standard kind of year. I'd expect to see more in the coming years, given that it's quite a high-profile club for the brand. Yeah, solid, but not spectacular. Let's continue, guys. We're making good progress. We will then come on to some reviews and bumping up or bringing down a few shirts that we've already ranked over the months. This collaboration shirt from Monaco, I think this is another lifestyle piece, but I might be wrong. Did they wear this on the pitch? Okay, they will wear on pitch. Very interesting. So, this shirt from Monaco is a collaboration shirt with the French with a French fashion brand, Drôle de Monsieur. However you say their name. I won't hold on that. Honestly, really interesting. I think immediately it's good to see those diamonds, which are quite subtle, but they go all the way on the back, not on the side panel for some reason, but overall that's good to see. Unexpected colorway. I mean, we're going to come on to this later as well with the Japan special edition shirt. For me, I really like these collaboration shirts which explore colorways which aren't typical for the team, but personally I think that's quite a nice direction. Some land better than others, but if you're all, I think it's a fine line. Sometimes again it just looks a bit tacky. I don't love. So one thing I don't love about the shirt, even though it's quite a surprising colorway, it's not my favorite combo. I much prefer the Japan colors, but it ultimately is quite. It's a bold. You see the slogan here for the club: rise, risk, repeat. It is a risky combo, and if you're going to do a collaboration shirt, you should go down that direction. I think the one thing that the biggest thing that bugs me. It's silly, but the way the diamonds here don't neatly fit into the pattern, just kind of, it's not OCD, but like the way you see in the middle there, anyway, that's a side point. So overall, I think, even though it's not my favourite colour combo, and it's not, there's little things I would do differently. Ultimately, I think this is a really, really interesting release, and I'll be excited to see this on the pitch. And I think this just speaks to the place we're at with collaboration shirts, where actually I think they are really, really, ultimately, I think they're quite good for the industry. We talk so much, or there's, since I've been writing about shirts, we talk about fashion and how football shirts are fashion. Actually I think there's key elements, getting people ultimately who are involved, who can actually, it sounds silly, but do something interesting, bring some character, not just a name, but clearly this is an unexpected shirt from Monaco, and I think if you're going to do a collaboration shirt, that's kind of the point. I think you want to make sure that you're combining elements of the club, and this doesn't have, of course, the classic Monaco look with the kind of diagonal, but with the diamonds it feels kind of at home. I think overall this is really good. I think this is definitely in the Flames tier. I wouldn't put it on the upper echelons. I think something like the Japan shirt for me lands a lot better, and I think it's just a bit more aesthetically pleasing, but I don't think it's out of place somewhere. I mean, yeah, let's go down here. I think that's kind of we've got not much space at the bottom, but I'll happily stick it down there. I think it's really good. I think it's really good for Monaco. And as you said, honestly loved the pre-match jacket. Amazing. Yeah, it's good to see the wider collection, which you can't see in these pictures. But yeah, that's obviously a key part of typical collaboration collections. Unfortunately, because I said it would have made the shirt 5% better. I guess, is that in relation to the pattern alignment? I'm not sure. what you're saying there, mate. But yeah, so honestly, good. I mean, to be honest, I think it could go higher than that. I like it more than the Venezia. I like the Venezia shirt, but I would definitely put this one higher. To be honest, yeah, no, I don't think it's out of place around here. Yeah, really, like, again, we've seen a lot of collaboration shirts. I think the best ones are the ones like the Denmark BLS Hafnia shirt. I think that one is one of my favourite shirts of the year. But there's been several at club and international level, and I like more than I don't like. It's, you know, it's something which has grown and grown, and there's been a lot of really interesting releases for sure. The pattern, yeah, thank you, mate, thank you. We come to Inter's third shirt. In terms of, I mean, continuing the theme of pattern, there's very little, if any, pattern here. But it's a really, I like this combo a lot. I do like this combo for Inter. You can see obviously the latest drive for ADV spec, which looks really good. You've got the kind of all over ventilation paneling, which looks great. I don't think this is bespoke to the team. I think it's just one of the standard ones, but it does look very good. And there's a really nice inside neck detail, which I believe is across all the Inter kits this year. So it's not necessarily gonna win any awards, but I do think, again, that the colours, personally, I think it's a really good look for Inter. We've seen it before in various kits to certain degrees, so it's not. I think it works as a colourway. And you know what, guys? I think what works here particularly, when you got the away, which is obviously dominated by the pattern, unless the team are playing in Europe where they have to dull it down, but that away with the all over globe pattern is lovely. I think this one lands even better because the away is so much more busy. If you had a relatively plain away, I think the plainness of this would feel a little bit more lackluster, as much as I love the colours. But I think because you've got a busy away, you can afford, I think you've got a bit more currency to go for a plainer, in terms of pattern anyway, a plainer third. But I think this is really good. I'm quite, sorry guys, I'm quite partial to an Inter shirt anyway, and there's been several over kind of their history, or certainly modern history, which I've really rated. This one though, I think is good. I think this is in the Flames tier, probably the kind of lower to mid end of the Flames tier, but I'm broadly a fan of this one. Despite, I don't think a shirt, personally, I think good colours and a few nice details can make a shirt. You don't need a crazy pattern. And actually, as kit technology continues to develop and we see more brands start to kind of progress their approaches to things like construction and materials, it's going to be even more important, I think, to actually scale back. I think it will land, shirts will land better, I think, sometimes, given the kind of pattern dominated post-Nigerian landscape we've been in. Roman's esports shirt, we won't rank the esports shirts, but I will just briefly comment. It's a bit cheesy with the lightning bolts. I quite like the combo. I personally would prefer like, the third shirt, for example, this year. That was, I think, very good. In fact, we ran that very high, you can see up here. And I think given the kind of colour change or the change in crest, that one overall I think was much more interesting. Apologies, guys. But yeah, it's good. Pattern blank, no pattern on the back, which is what it is. But yeah, we won't rank this one. But honestly, New Balance are in a good spot, I would say, this season. Arminia, Bielefeld. Very simple shirt. Looking at this one here, an interesting kind of sleeve portion there, or shoulder section. Not sure, I don't recall seeing that many times before, if at all. But yeah, it's fine. The pattern is obviously quite simple. There's no reason it shouldn't be on the back. The little shield there is better than nothing. The crest, we've seen, that application is okay. I think there's better, it's kind of mid tier, if you like. Yeah, it's hard to get too excited about this one. It feels kind of a bit blackout adjacent, even though I believe these guys have had quite a few black shirts. I want to say they typically have a black away or third. This is supposed to be the fourth kit. Yeah, so yeah, I might be wrong, but it doesn't feel out of place. The black, it feels fairly generic, and the pattern is fine, but it doesn't add too much. It's better than nothing. Honestly, I think the most interesting thing about this is those sleeve portions or the shoulder. The way that shirt has been constructed, to me, that's almost kind of the most interesting part. Yeah, so overall, I'd probably stick this in the counter tier. There's just enough that I'd say that even though it's not very exciting, again, I think the overall look of it is good. If it was on the back, it would be much better. And yeah, I mean, this is not challenging anything at the top, but I'll sneak. I think when I look at this kind of the standard and this kind of bottom end of the counter tier, I think this feels at home. That's my snap take anyway, which of course all my rankings are just like first impressions more than anything else most of the time. There we go. Bielefeld. Thank you, Mark. Thank you as always. Typically black and blue shirts. Yep. Love the intercolorway. Indeed. And as you said, I mean the Rome one. Oh, sorry, I thought it was a Celtic shirt. Oh, the Rome one. Yeah, it could be certainly like an away or third. Grasshoppers. Now, very interesting shirt here. What is this? A Derby shirt. All right, so they're wearing it in the Derby. Fair play. I quite like an orange and black shirt. You know, it's a punchy combo. It looks good, even though this isn't particularly exciting. It is largely just this Adidas construction with all black sponsors, but it's good to see all the sponsors playing along. Of all the Adidas constructions, this one is one of the better ones, even though it's quite boring, but I quite like the sleeves on these ones, and yeah, it's good. Like, I think this is, it kind of lives or dies on the colorway, obviously, given that it's relatively simple, but it's a good colorway. I think orange and black is good, and again, despite a lack of kind of real finesse to take it to the top, and it doesn't have, we're not seeing it in kind of heat ready or anything like that. Adidas's top spec materials. It's good to see, again, I mentioned the sponsors, it's good to see them playing along. They're all in black, and it does add a lot to the shirt. So I think this one could actually, I mean, when I think about it, this is a high candle tier for me. I think there's enough here where, in a different colorway, this could be a lot lower. Orange and black, it's not for everyone. I personally am quite partial to an orange and black shirt. Yeah, I quite like it, and I think, we're running out of space, aren't we? But let's just stick it around there. I might just shave a bit off that because we are again. There we go. Yeah, there's quite a few actually. I've just, as I've been going through, guys, the England away, I've left way too much space there. The York one similarly, but anyway, that's a separate point. There's a lot of maintenance I could do with this one. Bielefeld, Ian says Bielefeld, a simple idea, well executed. Yeah, I think it is. And Seagull sponsors this book. Do they not know seagulls eat grasshoppers? Yeah, indeed, that is it. That is quite a novelty actually, seeing more than one animal there. Conflicting messages for sure. I think that typeface very simple, but I do like that. Honestly, I think that shirt's pretty good. I'd almost be tempted to bump up to the Flames tier. I just quite like the combo. Right, we come to the Japan shirt. Now let's talk about this, guys. This again, another collaboration shirt. I wrote about this in my weekly column in the Football Shirt Collective weekly email, which you can sign up for on the Football Shirt Collective site. I do a weekly email where I just talk about a topic in the industry briefly. Japan have really tapped into the football shirt culture. You see things like obviously the anniversary shirt from last year, and I think there's something to be said about Japan embracing that side of shirts. at first I wasn't sure who Nigo was, but when I realised he was the guy behind A Bathing Ape, a huge fashion brand, which even myself, who's not in the fashion world, I've certainly seen and come across and quite enjoyed a lot of their stuff. And they've done football adjacent stuff for many years. So, yeah, a big figure in the fashion world. Honestly, I think this one is great. I love the colour combo. It lands particularly well when you realise the inspiration. So there is, I believe they mentioned cherry blossoms, but there's also a kind of, what do you call, sweet treat, dessert, confection rather, called Sakura Mochi, which is a, what you can see here, very distinctive looking colour combo, and you can see that immediately. So it's a fun, like it's a bit of a kind of fine novelty, but I actually think it gives a bit of a reason for the colours. Even without that, I'd still like the colour combo. It's a surprising one. I can't think of many. I mean, I guess, well, someone mentioned the Werder Bremen shirt as being similar. That's more of a kind of peach and olive, I would say, but it's in that sphere. I personally really like this one though. I think even though there's not a bespoke pattern, this is just the standard heat ready look. I think the details, that's a great, I believe that's a cherry blossom detail, simple but really nice. It reminds you of a lot of the old, or I think current even, Japan prefecture flags, which you see flags of the different states or regions. That I believe is a nod, or the designer's mark. I look at that, and of course with Adidas shirts as well, they've got this really nice. I mentioned this. If you check out my What I'm Buying video on the channel, you'll see the Japan away shirt in all its authentic long sleeve glory, and you can see what I love about the latest Adidas spec material. And I think, I might be wrong, but I think they're going to wear this in a friendly. Now, if they don't, obviously we shouldn't have this on the list, but I'm gonna rank it because I like it so much anyway. But we might have to take it off the hot wall for technicality reasons. But the monochrome crest, I really like the Japan crest, and I could understand why they wouldn't do it because of the colours, it would clash. But it's fine. I'd almost want to see it in colour, although that probably would be a bit too much. But guys, actual sleeve taping. Again, a feature of the top level Adidas shirts. I think this is just really nice. I've got one of these coming on the way from Japan. It's funny because I was rushing to buy it, and then it was released on the Adidas UK store, which is funny, but there we go. Nonetheless, I think it's really good. Personally, I love the colours. And Brock saying, well, he's vouching for the Volcano tier. Brock, I concur. I do think this is, after the excellent Japan home and away shirts, this is the third Japan shirt, which is going in the Volcano tier. Basically, Japan have won 2022. The headline here is that Japan have the best shirts of the year. If you had to pick one team, one country, one club who could choose as the winners of the year, it would be Japan. Just straight up. I think, obviously Adidas have contributed to that, but this is just great. I'm going to stick it here, and I think it really does. Again, I'd personally take the home and away above that, which shows how much I like the home and away, but just great. Just another example of Adidas just completely smashing out the park. I love the construction of these Adidas shirts, the hem there, even just the back neck, the whole thing just looks good together. And the colours, to me, really, really land well. It's an unusual combo, don't get me wrong, but I love it. But Brock's saying about the whole kit, I do think the shorts would look better in the green. I think that's fair to say. I like the shorts in isolation, but yeah, it's fair to say, personally, I think I like the contrasted shorts more, but just a great shirt, guys. Japan. What a year for Japan. They are truly blessed, it's fair to say, on the football shirt front. Athens, Kalathea, however you say their name. Notable this year for having worked with the same agency or design agency or marketing agency, whatever they are, as Venezia. So that's where you see the imagery is essentially the same style. Really nice third shirt. Really nice shirt here from the team. You know, it's got, obviously you can see it in these images, the kind of photo shoot images. Got a streetwear vibe about it, but I think more than anything, just the shirt in isolation is good. It's good to see stripes. I don't know if they go on the back, to be fair, but certainly the way they've been incorporated on the sleeves and the body there is good. I don't think the colour combos like get me too excited. This kind of slightly washed out blue with the red and the gold. I think, yeah, I don't know. It's not my favourite colourway, but this is definitely a consideration for the Flames tier. Let's cut it out and let's maybe review as we look at the rest of the shirts on this wall. I'll just go slim that down a bit more. Yeah, there we go. That looks better. Oh, that's more like it. So, yeah, I think this one, high candle for me, feels about right. Let's identify where that actually is. It's around here. Oh dear. Yeah, no, right knocking on the door of the Flames here, I think. Yeah, I think the shirt is good. Again, I can't. The colours aren't make me too excited. Even though that kind of slightly faded blue is kind of interesting, and more interesting than something like a navy would be. But around the Chelsea shirt, honestly, feels good. Maybe a bit lower. I think something like here feels good. Yep, it's good stuff from Athens Cartha. Obviously, again, given their input with. I can't think of what they refer to themselves as, but I'll say the marketing agency behind Venezia. It's certainly benefited the club, that's fair to say. Rosario Central now with a pink shirt. I'll be honest, guys, I don't think this is very good. I'm not the biggest fan of gradients. It's good to see it on the back. I mean, on one level, I'm glad to see not just a straight pink shirt, because we've seen a lot of pink shirts, obviously. We've talked about a few today, and you can see, you know, whilst there's some which I quite like the Cruzeiro one. It's certainly a different direction to go down. I don't think the combo is great. The fade to the navy, but despite my reservations, it is. I don't love the gradient, but I do like this more than I would if it was just pink. I think there's enough to say there. Doesn't mean it's a good shirt though. I don't think it is. I think I'd stick it at the top end of the Ice Cube tier. I actually do think the Cruzeiro one worked a lot better, even though it was just plain pink. With the blue being a bit brighter, a bit more of a true blue, I think complemented the pink better, and the shade of pink as well. I like a bit more, but overall, I'd say high Ice Cube, like knocking on the door of the. I've said that a lot today. Knocking on the door. A lot of doors have been knocked today at the hot wall. Yep, let's stick it here. Oh, I'm trying to find a spot that's not covering up too much. What's that? There we go. Let's go there for Rosario. Yep, a different take on the pink shirt. Boxing don't like Rosario's shirt. Yeah, I mean the sponsor is quite regrettable as well, I must say. I think here in the imagery you can see a bit more of kind of thinking. Well, the setting, it looks a bit nicer with the flowers there, but then you wonder why did you maybe incorporate that a bit more. There's definitely more that could be done. Atletico Mineiro, who have moved to Adidas quite notably. Am I right in saying this is? Have we seen the home or away shirt yet from them? I'm not sure if we have. Yeah. Anyway, a big move to see Adidas swooping in, taking them from the Coq Sportif, who, of course, whether it was the Manto Massa shirts or indeed other shirts that the club have had over recent times, were quite notable for the wider shirt community. I quite like the pattern in this one, the subliminal rooster. It looks good. I think it's a shame to see the play back, but honestly, I quite like this as a shirt. I think the kind of same old Adidas problems apply, where the shirts always feel a little bit tired, like you see recycled elements. But it's good to see the rooster on the back as well. Again, if I had a bit of a pass on the back, I think this style of pattern, which you could see, It's looking crisp. You can see a celebration of the stars there. But there's nice little details. So I think this is actually quite nice. I'd probably even stick this in the flames here. I think this shade of gold, kind of a slightly soft gold, a bit beigey. I actually think it's quite nice, and I do like that bespoke pattern on the front. I quite like a subliminal pattern where it's not in your face, but it's got nice details, and I think it's been well executed. It's got the quality, even though Adidas shirts can be a little bit run-of-the-mill. You do typically get a higher end product than you would from other brands. So, no, honestly, I quite like this one, even though it has a plain back. I would sneak this. I'd like to sneak this one into the Flamester. Personally, I'm interested to see. I'm not expecting anything too well beaten from Adidas for Atletico Mineiro, but at the same time, this gives me hope that we could see some good stuff. Again, good to see the bespoke treatment. Yeah, it's pretty good. Not one I go out my way to buy, but certainly I think this one, again, bodes well for future releases. And I believe we're nearly at the end. We are at the final shirt week. We're going to catch up, guys. This has not happened many times. Has it even happened before? I think it has, but not often. We're usually playing catch up. But we come on to the Club Atletico Tigre shirt. I'm doing terrible with these pronunciations. But anyway, their anniversary shirt. An interesting style. With the kind of the blue and red, a very contrasting look. Interesting to see the subtle or subliminal Kappa logo and the sponsor. I like the look of the inside net detail. That looks good to me, and I appreciate. I'm not the biggest fan of 1-button collars, but we've got what looks like a 3-button collar. As an anniversary vibe, to me. I actually do think this compares quite well. So something like the Bolton shirt, which had a bit more going on, but I personally don't love the lace look. Even though it has an old school vibe, but I actually quite like this. I think this compares well with the Bolton shirt as an overall look. I don't think it's any higher than the Bolton shirt, though. I think it's more in that kind of territory, I would say. Sorry guys, that was at the bottom of the Flamester. I don't know if I'd put it that high. I think it's more of a high candle, but there are elements I like about it. I think you know what? I think we'll sneak it in the Flamester. I do like the inside net detail, or the look of it from what I can see. And there seems to be something on the kind of jock tag area, which again is something which often is missing. But I think there seems to be a bit of treatment here, which I like. So it's not reaching any crazy heights, but it's certainly one which I think I'd like to see more of. And I think overall, I would rank this one just in the Flamester, kind of on the border, I would say. Ian saying, a Mineiro shirt, I can find nothing I dislike about the shirt. They missed at the end of the sponsor. Ultimate trolling off Kappa. Indeed. I like that. This one, I think it seems good next to. I mean, I'm just trying to look at space. Let's sneak it here. It'll just miss out on the Flamester. I would put the Udinese. In fact, to be honest, I think I could have put this Udinese shirt a bit higher. When I look at it there, I think it definitely deserves to be above. Yeah, that feels better. Guys, let's just take stock. We have caught up with the releases, which doesn't happen again, as I said, often. Now, for the last half hour or so, I want to do a bit of a look through the list, and I think we'll start with the Volcano tier. And I'd really like to hear your thoughts, your contributions for this, because I'm basically going to now retrospectively move some shirts up or down. Now, I don't want to do this for every shirt, of course. I think my approach, my approach is going to be like the biggest kind of offenders, if you like. So I mentioned the City shirt. That's 100% one. I'd like to for at least a few shirts in each tier, and obviously more so for the middle tiers potentially. I think maybe as a rule, I'll say I'm not going to move a shirt any more than one tier, because I think, again, I want to kind of honour the initial rankings somewhat. But there's several shirts which, as we've been going through, these weeks, I've kind of thought I really think I like that more, I like that less in hindsight. And we'll talk a bit about it. Obviously, you know, some of the reasons for that. Maybe it's because of other shirts you see. Maybe it's just because of time. Sometimes the heart grows fonder over time, or the inverse of that. So yeah, we'll do that. I'm just gonna leave us on the pause screen as I pop to loot, and then we'll come back and we'll do a bit of a retrospective look. And we'll be doing this, I think, for future weeks as well. We'll also, as the year rounds up, as we talked about earlier, we'll go through and add shirts that have missed the list for various reasons that just weren't on Football Shirt Culture's site. Yeah, so that's going to be coming up. I'll just give us a short break, and then we'll jump back to the hot wall. Back. A reminder, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, or maybe you've been watching for many streams but you've not subscribed. Make sure you do that. Also leave a like if you are enjoying today's stream. That would be appreciated. So let's quickly come. Here we go. Here's the hot wall, guys. I'm just gonna go basically just straight into it, but again, I'd love to hear any bits of feedback as we go through. Anything you think, oh, we really should have ranked that higher or lower, please jump in with any thoughts. But we'll start. I'm going to start with City. So this, again, I think in hindsight, I really like this from City. I do think it is one of their best home shirts of the last few years, certainly. I think in hindsight, though, and it's funny, actually, going back on, I was completely wrong when I said there wasn't a centralised crest here, because clearly there is a centralised crest. But yeah, I think, again, looking now in hindsight, there's multiple shirts that were the high end of the Flames tier, which I would rank above this one. So let's drop it down a tier. How far do we go? Well, that's funny. There seems to be 2 City shirts. Now, what? Yeah, here we go. This has happened a few times, actually, and I need to make sure I don't lose any shirts here. And I think it is just that. So we're going to get rid of that layer. Yeah, sadly, because I've accidentally I've accidentally screenshotted the list of occasions, so this might happen a few times. City. So I think personally, I would still rank it around here. I think it's still really good, but I don't think it's a Volcano tier shirt. So let's move that down. As well as moving shirts up or down a tier, I'm also going to be moving shirts within the tier. So many of you will know the general idea is that shirts that are more on the right side of a tier, I like more, basically, like relative to the tier itself or within the tier. And for that reason, I have to put the Belgrano shirt right at the top, because this is, for me, I think, unless you see anything, this is my favourite shirt of the year. I'm just going to put it right there. I love this one. I've bought it twice in short and long sleeve, or rather I bought it in short sleeve and traded for it, I should say. Not really bought it twice, but I think this is great. 100%. One of my favourites of the year. So I'm going to bump that, move that up within the tier. That feels pretty good. Let's see. I mean, I like the Brøndby, the Denmark, the Japan shirts. I think I might just nice if they shut it down slightly. I really do like this one, but I think again within this tier, I think I'm going to stick it around here. And then looking again, I think so. Finland is another example. One of the big kind of controversies, if you like, at the time when we ranked this was that it had a plain back, and typically that was a reason not to have it in the volcano tier. At the time, I really liked the depth of the pattern. I would definitely bump this one down. I mean, I still think it's very good, but similar story to City, really. I think it does feel more at home around here. So okay, this is already looking better. I'm liking this a bit more. I think the heart shirt, I again just going to bump it down within the tier. I think there are better shirts in this volcano tier, but I would still keep it in the volcano tier. I would just say maybe around here feels a bit better. Okay. Other shirts to consider moving up or down. Club Universidad de Chile. I really like the collar on this one. I think no, that honestly, I'll move it down there just to kind of fill some space. Similarly with the Samp shirt, I'll keep it in the volcano tier and move it down. Stoke, I think it's a contender to drop down. I'd probably leave it there. But again, just as I'm reviewing this already looks a lot better to me. Maybe the Mexico could go up slightly. I think I might swap places with the Lorient shirt there. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but as I'm just adjusting these shirts, I think that the Milan third is probably one to bump down as well. When I look at this, I think I like the colours, don't get me wrong, and it was certainly a shirt which I think personally I quite like, even though it's quite unexpected. But yeah, is it? I don't think it's as good as the Japan shirt. And then when we look at this, I think it's maybe higher than the City shirt. But there's a nice gap there, and I feel better having it there. Ian said, I think you're right to move City shirt down. The question I would ask of any volcano shirt is this the best shirt I've seen from this club in, say, the last 10 years? It's a really good question, Ian. I think that is a good question to ask. And I think as I look across here, in the majority of cases, I would say yes. There's maybe a few which, so with Barcelona, I think in hindsight, I actually think I really like this, but I would say I'd actually said the Netherlands shirt I like a bit more personally. The Netherlands women's away. Japan, yeah, that feels good there. No, typically, honestly, I think that volcano tier is looking much better. Yeah, I really like that. I think the Sport Recife, let's maybe swap places with the Vasco shirt, which again I still need to see in person, which I'm excited to see. Oh, that's really nice. There we go. Oh, come on, son. Get off there. There we go. So let's bump up Vasco and let's stick the Recife there. Yeah, I think that looks better to me, guys. That whole tier, it feels a bit stronger. We've cut off a couple of bits, adjusted a few rankings. Like again, if I was to name, I mean, maybe the Platense one, to be honest, I might swap that with the Inter because I really do like that Inter shirt. So let's just do a swap there. But that feels better. I think, if I was to do a top 10 shirts of the year, so 1, 2, 3, that's kind of this top half of the volcano tier. Yeah, that feels about right. Certainly better than before. Now, there may be shirts that come into this tier from the hot tier, and we'll come on to that. Although looking, I'm not sure if there might only maybe one or two. But overall, well, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now let's move down to the Flames tier. So again, let's start with the higher end and see what shirts we might want to bump up or take down. And then we'll do the same as we go further down. Obviously, guys, as we get further down here, I'm only going to be cherry picking stuff because there's so many shirts. It would be unrealistic to go through everything. But let's have a look. I mean, I can't remember the name of the Dutch team now. I like this one, but I don't think I think we could easily stick this around here. That feels much more appropriate. Bari is contender to move up. I think I'll leave it there. Similarly to Bilbao, I think that one again could come down a little bit. Like, shirts here, I think, I mean, even the Pumas, I don't know. I don't want to, no, I think, let's leave it there. Again, I'm just sort of thinking, okay, so for example, I do think the Blackpool shirt is really good. And I think you know, it goes down as one of my favourite shirts in the English lower divisions. I would actually just bump up the Belgrano as well. Again, these are very small changes, but I think of all the shirts to come up, the Zola shirt, I think that one, to me, I'm gonna stick with the Volcano to it. I think it's the colour combo. Again, we talked about this earlier in the stream. I think it's really strong, and I do like that one a lot. So that one feels good there. Other shirts to consider, I think personally the commentary shirt I like even more, having seen a bit more of that, and I saw that in person the other day when I was with Hummel. I'd bump that up a bit more. Other shirts to consider moving up, I think the L'Oreal shirt there feels like a nice contender for that spot. And yeah, we're looking through here. I think let's sort of look for anything. I can't remember the name of this team. I believe they're a Norwegian team. That one I would bump down a tier. I think this was very early on, one of the first weeks we did it. I don't think this is a Flames tier contender. Now in hindsight, I mean, you know, it's going to get lost behind stuff, isn't it? Because it was done so early on the stream. So if we let's stick it there, right on the edge. At least we can still see it there. That's left a big gap, which I feel like we do need to fill. So let's have a look. What shirt can we promote within the tier? Having a look. Honestly, the Udinese shirt, which we just ranked, could go up there. That's a contender. Again, we're looking through. What shirt have I maybe underrated slightly? I mean, I suppose the Volcano tier, I'm not really seeing a lot of stuff. I mean, maybe the Dresden shirt here. I do like the cuffs on that. I think that one could go higher. I wouldn't mind seeing that there. Or maybe around here, and then we'll bump up the England away. Because I do really like that colour of the England away. Even though, you know, we didn't see too much of it, or any of it at the tournament, the Euros. But I do... gosh, I'm having some problems here. Why is it not letting me select that? This is just an issue with me trying to use Photoshop here. Let's bump England up there. Incidentally, on England, I will just trim that image because it is a little bit wide. So let's just do that. There we go. Lost a bit of the swoosh there, but there's the England one. So that feels a bit better. Again, guys, any thoughts? Do chuck them in as I'm going through. But that, honestly, I think there's not too much I'd move down. I think looking here. Any other contenders to sneak into the Flames tier? I don't think so. Just double check him. Obviously, it's possible something lower down in the Flames tier might be a contender to be bumped up, but I don't think so. I mean, you know, the Corinthians shirt got a lot of buzz. I think it does belong still there. There are some nice gaps now, which we could, you know, for the sake of tidiness, we could just fill. So that's maybe another job for another day. But no, as I'm looking through, there's not any real obvious ones where I'm like, I really think differently about this one now. But I'm you know, if I just zoom in again, I'm literally just, you know, there's not really a science to this. I'm just scrolling through and just making sure. As we do this little retrospective edit update, which we'll be doing a few times. Here we go. So the Charlotte shirt, I think that one could definitely come down. I mean, we saw similarly with the, I believe it was the Leicester shirt. I think both of these might even have to go. Let's bump these down a tier. This combo, I'm less excited about it in hindsight. Again, with this particular Charlotte shirt, I mean, we'll stick it there. And the Leicester one, similarly, I think, yeah, they deserve to go down a tier. Coincidentally, I'm seeing Brazil shirt there. I think that one I'm going to bring up to the hot tier. So there's a little swap there, Leicester and Brazil. And I feel good bringing the Brazil one up just slightly. I think this one is definitely looking pretty good on pitch. Again, we're in that space massively, but that feels like a nice swap deal. Yeah, okay, that's good. Any others? Any others as a contender? The York, you know what? The York shirt I think can go up a bit. Similar story with the Zola shirt. I think this one definitely, yeah. And we talked about it with Puma actually and Blackpool. Another good example of great treatment for a relatively small team. So that's York. City, bumping that one up a bit. That feels better. Just scrolling through. Of course, there's loads of stuff which is getting lost in the pile. But there's some good stuff here, and I think as I scroll through, I might just for the sake of space, I'm going to move that there. That feels better. And again, as we look through here, I think again just for the sake of trying to fill some gaps, I think we can stick button down here. Yeah, we might change more, but looking at that, I feel better. You know what? I'll bump down the Adidas, the Juventus shirt. I talked about this one growing on me at the time, and it definitely has grown on me since the initial pictures. But I don't think we can beat the Flames to in good conscience anyway. I still think it's on the higher end. Personally, I don't mind the approach, but yeah, I think that can definitely go down. Let's not be too. Let's not keep that one around much longer. Nice. Okay, so this is already looking better. Ian says, here's a question for you. Given a choice, would you prefer this year's into away, last year's White Snakes away, or the away black Pirelli shirt? The Pirelli one for me is a real, like, that's one of my favourite shirts of the last 5 years. Just like, honestly, like a top 10. I just personally love that one. So I'll take that one. And then, other than that, so this year's into away, I really like that one. I'd probably take that one over the White Snake away, and then the Snake one I'd put third of those three. So like this, they'd all be contenders for the book. Well, obviously this one is, and I'd put the Pirelli one quite high up. I think the Snake one would be somewhere around here. But yeah, no, I really like all those shirts. For sure, Ian. That's a tough one to decide between, for sure. Just looking here, I think the Vela Sarsfield could come down from this lofty position as well, in hindsight. I think they're much better shirts. So I'm going to knock this one off there. And I will keep it in the Flames tier. So I'm not talking a huge relegation. But I think that looks better. That looks better to me. Similarly, I don't think the Wrexham one. There's a novelty factor with the TikTok sponsor, but you know, maybe I've just seen too much of it with the documentary and stuff. But that's another one which I think I'll bump down that tier, to be honest. It did have some nice embossed details. Yeah, no, let's leave it here. Let's leave it here. I don't want to get too crazy. I'm happy though. This is already, like, just as we're going through, I'm feeling better about. There's definitely some which have slipped through the cracks, but yeah, there's definitely this is feeling better as a whole. It's quite fun just to look through these shirts, guys. I think I will at the Interset and High Bar. They are, Ian. They are, and I think they obviously get a lot of attention from Nike, but the results are great. I think. Certainly if you're an Inter fan or you collect Inter shirts, it's been a good, sorry, because I'm cracking my neck there, a good time for them, for sure. You know what, I'm going to bump up this St. Pauli shirt. I quite like the look of that one, and I think, to be honest, yeah, I don't see why we shouldn't put it right up here. I think it's really nice. Similarly, I think the City shirt, actually, I would bump up slightly, not too much, but I think seeing that on pitch, it certainly matched expectations. So that's another little change. I mean, to be honest, I could be here all day making little tweaks, but this is good. I think ultimately there might be again some contenders from the Cala tier to bump up, but I'm liking the look of this more. There's more tweaks to be made, but no, that's generally looking good feels like a much nicer shape there now with the Belgrano shirt leading the way. Nice. Okay, let's go down to the counter tier. I think this is our busiest tier. Oh boy. Right, from the top. From the top end of the counter tier. Any contenders to move up? Honestly, when I look at these, I think the hashtag shirt's quite nice. I don't think I'd put it in the Flames tier, but it's definitely close. Man, there's some shirts you ranked a long time ago, the likes of LAFC, which that feels like that shirt's been out for 2 or 3 years maybe. But other shirts here, I'm not sure if there's one which would bump up to the Flames tier. There probably is, but as we look through, there's very little in the way of again, so many shirts, guys. Honestly, this whole tier list is just hilarious. Like, I'm really glad we committed to it, and it's fun looking back. I don't know if I'd do it again next year. I probably would, because I have just enjoyed hanging out with you and ranking these shirts. And thanks by the way to anyone who's watching these on catch up. It's funny, like, I kind of did this and didn't expect people to necessarily want to watch it on catch up or watch it afterwards, thinking it wouldn't be as entertaining, but a lot of people do, and it's made me realise actually that that's an important aspect, because clearly not everyone can tune in at a certain time. But thank you for the many supporters and subscribers who do watch these videos on catch up, by the way. Just shout out to all of you. Looking at this, I don't think, maybe I'll bump up the Poland shirt, because I really like the little kind of, I don't know if it was supposed to be a Ramberg tribute, but what seemed to be a Drake Ramberg tribute. So let's stick that one up there. Just a little nudge. I don't know. I think when I look through this section of the list, there's very few shirts, if any, which I'm like desperate to move. Quite like the Palermo, but I think it still feels good there. It could just be that there's just too many shirts there. But I'm kind of, I mean, I'm just going to do some housekeeping just to move that. And similarly, we could move the Cape Town City one down there. Let's just do that. So again, this is more just like tidying the list than anything else. That's better. Yeah. I mean, let's move down the counter tier. Again, there's so many teams, so many shirts. I think one thing is, and this was a shirt we ranked recently, but the Cruzeiro shirt feels a little bit overrated there now in hindsight. I'd rather put it down maybe just on the border. That feels a bit better. I say this a lot about shirts feeling better. It's a funny thing to say, but I can't think of any other way to describe it. I guess it's just that hunch. Like so much of these rankings, when I'm ranking these shirts, it's just instinct feeling. I don't know how else to say it really other than that. The Brentford shirt, I think we could bump up a bit within the tier. I don't think that's out of place around this kind of level. I think that is a really good shirt. And similarly, the Lazio shirt, I actually am going to put around here. I think that has more about it than I'd maybe given it credit for. I can't think of the team's name now. Is it Circle Bruges? The novelty of the Napoleon sponsors there, but I do think that can go down a tier into the Ice Cube tier. And let's just tidy up the list a bit again, just for the sake of that looks better. And again, I can't think of this team's name, but that can come down a tier for sure. In fact, maybe even a bit lower. Let's find a spot. There we go. That looks better. I do. You know what? Seeing the Brazil shirt in person, I love the embossed Jaguar print. Despite having one button, I actually think this is a big mover. I think this one, again, having seen the shirt, I think this is, and even the one button detail obviously had that really nice Brazil flag nod. So I think this one, I'm actually going to stick all the way up here, which is a big move. But that's one of the ones which I reminded seeing that again how much I wanted to actually retrospectively add to the rankings. I think it's excellent. I might even nudge the Vernon shirt up a bit. Again, it's a very unusual combo, but I think for similar reasons to the Japan shirt, I think honestly that does compare quite well, and I like that a bit higher in the tier, just knocking on the door of the Flames tier. That's good to me. Yeah, there's several shirts which are literally buried. Like, I try not to cover a shirt completely, but obviously there are some that have just been completely covered over. Maybe we could actually move some around if we do that, and then we could do this a bit. There's the other Fortaleza shirt. We talked about these, so I think again that one I'd probably want to bring down a tier. On the higher end of the let's find a spot of the Ice Cube tier, but let's stick it up here. Yeah, that's better if we just do a bit of a move there. There we go. Although honestly, that could come down a bit. Yeah. So that's good. I think. So this is perhaps not the most engaging, dynamic portion of the video. I'll be honest. I kind of wanted to do this more than anything, just because I think the list. There was just several shirts which I thought, I need to rank these higher or lower. So apologies. Maybe not the most. Again, back and forth. But having said that, I think this is important. I think this is helpful as we do this. There'll be more things to do in the coming weeks, but I already like this a lot more. Let's just transition now to the Ice Cube, high-end Ice Cube / low-end Candle shirts. That's a sentence which doesn't really make sense when you say it in isolation. But as we come through here, what have we got? What could come up or down in hindsight? I'm just scanning through. So much of this is actually just trying to pass through all this information, trying to try it somehow to assess what we are seeing, as we're presented with a wall of hundreds and hundreds of shares. Nothing is jumping out immediately as contenders to move up or down. And again, as we go through, I think honestly I get the love for the Ajax shirt, but I still think it belongs there. You know what? I'm actually going to bump up the City shirt. At the time, I found for me, the story was a bit of a weird angle. They talked about graffiti. I don't think that really was translated well. But I actually think this one can go into the low end of the Candle tier. Yep, I think it's the weakest of the set for City. But I'm going to stick it there on the border. I think it deserves a little bit of a nudge. Similarly, the Spain shirt, I think that could go up within the tier. I won't go much higher, but something like that feels a bit better. Let's just do a bit of a shift around that. That looks good. Obviously, as we get to the bottom of this tier, there's a lot of shirts which have a lot of space around them because there's nothing else near them. And let's just maybe go through those. Anything which I think is better in hindsight? Let's see. I think with the Charleston Battery shirt, I was really critical of the wide, the gap between the Hummel and the crest. I think I'd actually, let's bump it up within the tier there. It is very wide, and I'm not going to bump it up to another tier, but I would stick it there. Yeah, other than that, I think as we're going through shirts like Spurs, you've seen a bit. I still don't think it's great, so that's going to stay there. I think I was maybe a bit harsh on the Marseille. I expected so much more, but again, we'll that honestly feels a bit more sensible. But overall, I think the Dundee one could come up definitely. Not too much, but there we go. And similarly, Dortmund, I still don't like it, but I'm gonna at least promote it within this bottom, very very bottom side. The Parang Steelers, that could definitely come up a bit. But there's a lot of movement within the tier. Otherwise, Nashville again. Let's stick it there. And to be honest, even though it's a very simple Costa Rica shirt, let's go there. I think that is good. Right. I mean, guys, I'm going to literally just check through again, scan through, scroll through, and see if there's any shirts which ultimately I think I really misjudged on release. You know what? I really liked this Blackbird shirt. The sponsor was a huge letdown, but in hindsight, I actually think this one does deserve to go up. If we stick it there, and then let's just move some of the Laquenio shirt. Again, apologies as we go in there. That's still not happening. I need to sort out my how I'm. I don't know if it's because I'm doing something wrong on Photoshop. Anyway, Laquenio, that I do actually think I'm going to put around here. That feels good. And then let's get the where was it? Blackburn shirt. Yeah, I'm going to bump that up a tier. I'm looking through. I think, honestly, yeah, I'm happy with that for now. I'm happy with that. So, guys, there will be more updates, I'm sure. But now as we look at the list, I like, particularly with the Volcano tier, which has had a few additions and changes, that just looks better to me. And again, a few changes within this side of the tier. Overall, I'm liking the look of the hot wall as a whole. And that is the hot wall for today. So thank you so much for everyone who's tuned in, everyone who's commented, a few new subscribers and viewers today as well. So thank you guys. Any final questions, stick them in the chat. But otherwise, I'll love you and leave you for the rest of your weeks, and I hope everyone has a good rest of their week indeed. Update as well, I've been held back on uploads for new videos on the channel simply because we're renovating our bedroom, doing a lot of painting, and today we're going to have the fun of putting on some skirting boards. Wish us luck there. But anyway, real life stuff basically. But there are videos to come. Indeed, I've got my testimony video. We've also got some other fun videos, a bit longer term, including a documentary about the Belgrano shirt, which is going to be really fun. I've actually going to have some input from Araya themselves and the design of the shirt and fans. So I want to try something a bit longer form. That knowing me, because of partly because of just my workload, but also just I'm often quite slow with these things. This will be several weeks, but nonetheless, that is in the pipeline. Something a bit different, which I'm actually going to maybe even write a script, do stuff which I don't usually do on this channel. But anyway, thanks for hanging out, guys. Been great to have your company as always. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe as you head out the door, and leave a like if you enjoyed today's stream. And there's a Patreon as well, guys. The Patreon, which is there, you can check that out. There's benefits if you join. But otherwise, I will catch you the other side. Have a good one. And yeah, see you soon.